the global oil market. Oil prices are surging, what it might mean for our economy and for your pocket. Also this lunchtime. Pressure piles on Starmer over the newly released Mandelson files. The Post Office versus Royal Mail, the row about digital post boxes, and Draper beats Djokovic for the first time. The British #1 says he was overwhelmed with the win.
This is the ITV Lunchtime News with Nina Hossain.
Good afternoon. The war in the Middle East is creating the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. That's according to the International Energy Agency. It warns that the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, through which around 20% of the world's oil usually passes, will mean less supply and higher prices for consumers. Our economics editor Joel Hills is in central London. Joel, oil prices have gone up again in the last few hours.
Yeah, they've nudged back to $100 a barrel where they were at the beginning of this week. But the International Energy Agency is preparing a release of record amounts of emergency stockpiles of oil. That should help contain energy prices, but it doesn't deal with the fundamental problem here, which is that the Strait of Hormuz, that vital shipping lane for oil and gas supplies to a global market from the Gulf, remains effectively closed to shipping. Overnight, the authorities in Bahrain released these pictures, which show the aftermath of an Iranian attack on a fuel depot there. Iran has continued targeting tankers and oil infrastructure across the Gulf. Several merchant ships were struck in the strait, according to regional officials. Meanwhile, in Iraq, operations at a key export terminal were halted after 2 tankers were attacked here at the port of Basra. Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, is trying to reroute some exports, piping oil across the country to terminals on the Red Sea, so it can still reach global markets. It's complete havoc, and the market price of oil and gas have edged up again. We're not yet at the extreme levels, certainly when it comes to the gas price that we've seen, or that we saw rather 4 years ago, just after Russia invaded Ukraine. The oil price is in similar territory though, and just before we came on air at this service station here, they changed the prices on the board behind us. Unleaded is up 7 pence a litre since the beginning of the war. The diesel prices are up around 14 pence. No, pump prices are also rising in the United States, and that will be putting pressure on President Trump. The British government, meanwhile, is under pressure to support households and businesses who are still feeling pretty bruised from the last wave of inflation. The government's ability to do that, though, is restricted because energy prices hurt the government's finances too. The message from government remains: nothing is off the table, but they will be hoping desperately that the conflict comes to an end, because the longer the Strait of Hormuz remains gummed up, the more upward pressure on prices there will be.
Joel Hills, thank you very much. Thank you. And you can get that story, plus the latest updates on the Middle East conflict, on our website, itv.com/news. Sir Keir Starmer is set to face fresh questions today during a visit to Belfast over just what he knew about Peter Mandelson's links to Jeffrey Epstein before appointing him as US ambassador. Files released yesterday show the PM was aware of a reputational risk before handing him the job. Vanessa Taff is in Westminster. Vanessa, this looks like it could overshadow the Prime Minister's visit today.
Well, the Prime Minister is attempting to get on with business as usual today. He's in Northern Ireland, where he's trying to keep that political focus on tackling the cost of living, but he is coming under intense political scrutiny. We now know the extent of what he knew and, crucially, what he ignored about Peter Mandelson's relationship with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the Prime Minister had previously denied he knew the depth of that friendship, but we know that this was not the case. He was presented with evidence, with documents that claimed it would be a reputational risk if he appointed Mandelson as the UK's ambassador to the US, and now members of the cabinet, despite that decision, are defending the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister is someone who, unlike some of his predecessors, takes responsibility for the decisions he takes, and when he's got something wrong, he will hold his hands up, admit he's made a mistake, take responsibility, and then take action to put it right. That's what this Prime Minister's done.
The files also detailed information about Peter Mandelson's sacking last September. We learned that he asked for more than £500,000 of severance pay. He actually ended up getting £75,000 payout of taxpayer money. There are calls now this afternoon from MPs for him to return that money or to donate it to charity. Peter Mandelson said he deeply regrets his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. There is also a police investigation ongoing at the moment into Peter Mandelson's dealings. We are expecting more files to come out once that concludes. But this really is a bad afternoon for the Prime Minister. His judgment is coming under increasing pressure, and he's really having to justify those calls.
Vanessa Taff, thank you. A new scheme has been launched designed to protect women on nights out across Britain. Project Vigilant uses plainclothed officers in nighttime hotspots like pubs and clubs to spot suspicious behaviour before it escalates into violent crime. The undercover scheme is being rolled out to more police forces across the UK. Ashna Harinak has this report from a nighttime patrol in Essex.
The weekend is only just starting for revellers on the streets of Colchester.
Hello there, how are we doing? You okay?
But among them are officers on the hunt for sexual predators, taking advantage of vulnerable women. They've been joined by the Safeguarding Minister, who's rolling out targeted patrols like this to an extra 9 forces across the UK.
Definitely would make me feel better.
Yeah.
You were all around.
Yeah. Uniformed and plainclothed officers, part of this operation, intervene when they spot inappropriate behaviour like stalking or harassment around pubs, clubs and bars, making men responsible for being irresponsible.
Obviously, be safe, but be as drunk as you like. You shouldn't have to think about it. It's not your responsibility to not have bad things happen to you.
They're tasked with spotting those loitering and lurking in the shadows.
Our officers are trained in behavioural techniques, detection techniques, in order to be able to identify those individuals that may well be preying on vulnerable people. It might be that they are continually trying to approach and attract people to them, even though that contact is unwanted.
And they're not just on foot. Roving officers are also looking out for suspicious drivers.
We've stopped sex offenders, we've stopped people of violence and arrested people with drugs and weapons as part of these operations.
Many of us know that feeling that when you're going out letting your hair down, sometimes it does come with unwarranted attention and unsolicited behaviour. And I guess this feels a bit like someone having your back.
If you tackle these offences, they say, you will prevent future crimes.
The officers here tonight were told that this isn't a small thing. Like, it looks like looking out for weird loitering. I've seen where that leads to rape, murder. It's really, really important that idea that, you know, the police are out there just thinking about people's behaviours to stop that escalation.
All needed when being a woman in Britain still comes with risk. But this time, it's the predators who are being preyed upon. Ashna Haranag, ITV News.
Post Office sub-postmasters have accused Royal Mail of deliberately targeting their customers by placing new digital postboxes outside their shops. They allow people to use an app to post parcels without having to head to a traditional post office counter. Royal Mail says it's the future, but it's causing quite the commotion. In Ashted in Surrey, Faye Barker went to find out more.
Well, this row is a timely reminder that the Post Office and the Royal Mail are indeed separate companies now. In fact, the Royal Mail will pay Post Office branches like this a commission to handle their parcels and letters. But let me just tell you about this postbox. It's one of 3,500 being rolled out across the UK. It's going to become a smart post box. It will have a solar panel on the top, and there will be a hatch at the front which will allow people to scan the parcels with pre-printed labels on them, even using an app. Let's find out more about this. Raj and Bhav Patel run this branch here. Just tell us why you're concerned about these smart pillar boxes.
Well, the smart box is directly outside the post office, and it will have a direct impact on our business.
We're having to compete against Royal Mail, and we sell their products, and it's unfair for us to be doing that.
It threatens your business. You're worried about that?
Absolutely, yes. Yes.
Well, thank you both. They're not the only sub-postmasters feeling this way. We've also heard from some customers to see what they think.
If it means we don't have to queue in the post office, then I'm all for it.
I prefer to speak to someone face to face.
I think they should spend their money on getting the post delivered properly.
Now, Royal Mail have had a troubled few years. They are now back in profit under a new owner, a Czech billionaire. We have put these concerns to them about the threat to post offices from these digital post boxes. They said our post boxes of the future, in a variety of convenient locations across the UK, offer our customers more choice in how they access Royal Mail services. Well, 1,200 local people here have signed a petition supporting this post office, saying they don't want the smart post box right here.
Faye Barker reporting there from Ashted in Surrey. MPs will examine student loan repayments following increasing debate over the fairness of the system. The Treasury Committee is asking graduates about the impact the current system is having on their finances. It comes after the Chancellor announced the thresholds for Plan 2 loans would be frozen for 3 years, leading to many having to pay more. Chelsea footballer Pedro Neto has apologised for pushing over a ball boy during Chelsea's defeat by Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. Neto said he wanted to get the ball fast and gave him a little push, adding, "It was in the heat of the moment and I want to apologise." And around 500,000 women could benefit from new menopause medication to help with hot flushes and night sweats. The daily tablet blocks the nerve pathways that trigger hot flushes and could be prescribed instead of hormone replacement therapy, known as HRT. And finally, this lunchtime, British underdog Jack Draper took the world of tennis by storm, beating 24-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic. The victory catapulted Draper into the quarterfinals of the Indian Wells Open in California. The showdown lasted 2 hours and 35 minutes before Draper emerged victorious. Amy Lewis has more.
It was a pinch-yourself moment as the Brit beat one of the game's greatest ever players for the first time in his career. As you'd expect, Novak Djokovic made Jack Draper work for it and took the first set. In the second, Draper's persistence eventually paid off. Djokovic was left chasing aces, and they were level. In the third and final set, both players were probably wondering if this would ever end. The match lasted more than 2.5 hours. Djokovic was floored, and it went to a tie-break, which Draper took 7-5. The 24-year-old Brit is into the last 8, and the defending champion has the title in his sights. Amy Lewis, ITV News.
Just before we go, you might remember Punch the monkey, who went viral for his friendship with the stuffed orangutan toy after he was rejected by his mother and many other monkeys in Ichikawa Zoo in Japan. Well, now the zoo has responded to the worries that Punch is being bullied by releasing a statement rejecting these claims, reassuring fans that Punch spends most of the day peacefully. They did, however, confirm that several high-ranking monkeys had been removed from his enclosure as a precaution. That's all from us for now. Charlene is here with the evening news at 6:30. The news where you are is next. And there's more of the day's news on our website, itv.com/news, on ITVX and our YouTube channel. For now, bye-bye.
Today,